Persona 5 Royale is a game where doing the right thing doesn't mean that good things will happen, but I believe that that's okay. Persona 5 was released on September 15th, 2016, but just like Persona 3 FES and Persona 4 Golden, they re-released the game as Persona 5 Royale with additional content that includes brand new characters, explorable areas, combat options, and a third semester which added 30 hours to my playthrough. Persona 5 was originally supposed to release in the winter of 2014 for PS3, but due to unforeseen circumstances with the unique art style they were creating, it had to be delayed. Even so, it turned out to be worth it in the end, with Persona 5 being Atlus's best-selling game to date. And now that I have completed every confidant, finished the third semester, and thought about my 120-hour journey through this game that I love so much, I hope that I can show you how Persona 5 Royale unmasks the cost of rebellion. Starting with what I think this story's main idea or theme is. Despite good deeds not always resulting in positive circumstances, it is within those conditions that shape who you are and prepares you for the future. When I started doing research for this video, I noticed that a lot of people understood the idea of rebelling against society is prevalent throughout the entire game. However, players expanded their thoughts and focused on how the Phantom Thieves were justified in their actions during the game, and how they helped people along the way. But what I found to be more interesting is that the Phantom Thieves, all of the confidants, and even the last antagonist share something very notable in all of their journeys, which is that in their journey to becoming better, stronger people, they initially fail and end up in objectively worse positions before learning a lesson that allows them to enact true change upon the world, with their newfound strength allowing them to win morally, physically, or both. That is usually expressed with the Phantom Thieves awakening their personas or the confidants unlocking their ultimate personas of their arcana. With that being said, I don't believe that the developers are telling us players to just accept the hardships that come into our lives as learning experiences. And I know some of you are saying that that doesn't make sense based on what I just told you, but if you sit back and let me explain, Persona 5 makes clear distinctions between painful lessons and unforgivable actions. This is bluntly shown in 3 examples early in the game with Kamoshida's section of the story. 1, they show us how bad Kamoshida is, starting with Ryuji, where we quickly find out that he doesn't walk that way because he's supposed to be a delinquent, but because Kamoshida broke his leg and his mother didn't have the money for him to rehab properly. This action is never seen in a positive light, even when Ryuji reflects on how it led him to joining the Phantom Thieves. 2, we know that Kamoshida has no remorse when our characters jump into his mind, where we see that he views Shujin Academy as his personal kingdom, doing whatever he wants to whoever he wants, which includes many forms of abuse, showing that there is nothing to be gained by understanding or sympathizing with this person. 3, the game shows the direct results of his actions when Shiho is pushed to her limits and attempts to take an early exit from life. This pretty much cements that at this point that the only way to deal with Kamoshida is to rebel against him regardless of the consequences. And if I continue this list of events, it will get repetitive, so let's move on to how bad circumstances make the characters of Persona 5 better people for the setbacks they face in the future. This is one of the more prominent themes in Persona 5, and it's an important one to note because it shows that no matter how bad a situation seems, you can always get out of it. This idea is exemplified by the protagonist, the rest of the Phantom Thieves, and the confidants who have all been pushed down by society or their own circumstances, but still managed to rise above them. Whether this is through their hard work, a change of heart, or a combination of the two. I believe that this this is exemplified by 4 characters specifically who all have very similar trauma, with Futaba, Makoto, Haru, and Yusuke, with all of them having their parents taken away from them in one way or another. And while these tragic events aren't good at all, they eventually build these characters. For example, when Futaba discovered that her mother Wakaba loved her, it gave her the strength to step into the world outside her room. Then there is Makoto's father, who was taken out for getting too close to the underground, which initially made her a passive participant in society, only doing what was needed to be seen as a model student regardless of her feelings. But throughout the game, she gains perspective on her father, realizing that her father lived his life according to his sense of justice and hoped that she would as well, and strives to do that by the end of the game. Following this, we have Haru, who deals with the loss of her father Okamura in real time, and while she isn't completely over his death by the end of the game, she realizes that she was just a puppet for her father's commands and begins to take an active role in how her life will play out from that day onward. Lastly, we have Yusuke, who finds out that he lost his biological mother at the hands of his foster dad Madarame, who raised him and supported his art, only to realize after he has some distance from this situation that while his life was objectively better due to his privileged living conditions, he had a very vanilla worldview on top of seeing others as black or white like he did when he first met the Phantom Thieves. And now that Yusuke is on his own, his views have grown, which improves his art as we see in his confidant storyline, showing that going through the adversity and universal pain of losing parents and the comfort that comes with them shape these lives, preparing them for the future, allowing them to do great things despite not getting immediate positive outcomes. And there are so many great scenes that reinforce this message, like Shiho overcoming her trauma by seeing if she still wanted to jump. Then there's Hifumi, who goes on a 10-match win streak after losing a championship match and bearing the weight of her mother's match-fixing scandal, in addition to the politician Torinosuke winning the public's trust after bearing the weight of a crime he was framed for 20 years ago. This allowed the citizens to see Torinosuke as someone they could trust, considering he's still trying to climb the political ladder the right way, even though he was continually mocked by the public. And while Torinosuke admits that the last 2 decades have been tough, they also made him a conduit for the hopes of society as opposed to the selfish young man he used to be. But enough about these great scenes, let's talk about my favorite part of this game, which is the brand new 3rd semester that solidified what I believe the main theme of this game is. Starting with some environmental storytelling with the new dungeon, the Laboratory of Sorrow, which is Maruki's vision of his personal science lab that would have done research into the cognitive realm and produced a change of hearts on a massive scale. However, as I delved deeper into the laboratory, I realized that Maruki didn't want to heal people, he just wanted to take away their pain. And this within itself isn't a bad thing. Yet as I explore the environment, it is obvious that Maruki has given up too much of himself to save everyone. And this is indicated in the 2 main colors in the lab, white and gold. White is the absence of color that correlates to Maruki giving up on his dreams to help others in their perfect world. Then there's gold, the color of riches, indicating how Maruki truly wants to grant the wishes of everyone he possibly can. So by understanding the meaning of these 2 colors' relationship to Maruki, it becomes clear that these ideals can't coexist and are incredibly fragile, because you can't fast forward to the end goal that will make you happy. And Maruki definitely can't help anybody do this because he gave up and ran away. This is shown off when Maruki becomes one with his persona Adam Kadmon, essentially trying to combine these 2 opposing ideals, only to get one-shotted, leading to the collapse of this false reality, and just like the false hopes he gave to others, leading us to Sumire, the the other new character introduced in Royale, who encapsulates what I believe the main theme of the game is. She's a character that's very similar to Maruki, in that she also has these ideals that are opposed by each other. She wants to escape the reality where she causes her sister Kasumi's death, but at the same time she wants to accomplish their shared dream of reaching the top of the gymnastics world, meaning that Sumire can't forget about her, until Sumire meets Maruki, where he changes Sumire's cognition to believe that she's Kasumi, making it so that Sumire is free of her sister's death while pursuing their dream at the cost of her individuality. However, over time the facade breaks down with small things like flashbacks of the car incident, people calling Sumire by her real name, and not being able to replicate her sister's flashy performance style, leading to Sumire's complete breakdown. Yet, unlike Maruki, we get to see the fallout after her false dream crumbles away. Sumire tries to beg, plead, and even fights Joker to let her live in this false reality. Despite that, she fails and finally has to deal with her causing Kasumi's death. So Sumire begins to slowly work through her feelings, realizing that it will never be okay and that she has to live with her mistakes. Yet within that storm of feelings, she understands Kasumi saved Sumire, meaning that she needs to live her life as herself or it disrespects her sister's sacrifice, allowing Sumire to pursue their gymnastic dream earnestly, using her elegant style that suits her much better, leaving Sumire as a better, happier, and stronger person to face her future. While other characters have bits and pieces all over the place, I believe Sumire's character arc is the same as the theme of this game, with Kasumi's good deed not paying off until Sumire deals with her painful trauma head on. So with that being said, that's how Persona 5 unmasks the cost of rebellion. And if you enjoyed the video, like, comment, and subscribe and become a member, it helps me out. Also, if you want to see another video essay, that's on screen right now.